everybody. All right, we are back with day 4 of our Advent blocks. Yesterday was day number 3, and we talked about Abraham, remember? And God promising that he would have as many descendants, as many children and great-grandchildren and great-great-great-great-grandchildren as the stars. Actually, even more than the stars. Pretty crazy, huh? And so today, let's see what our picture is. When Caleb and I did this earlier, we were a little confused. We couldn't tell what it was at first, but then we read the story and Caleb said, I think it's a well. And I think he's right. So let's read our story and see why there would be a well on our block. You may or may not know, actually, that a well is a way that we can get water. So I think what this is like a bucket, and then you put your bucket down, and then eventually there's water at the bottom, and then you bring your bucket up, and then your bucket is full of water. So I think this is a well. I think that's what this is. All right, so here we go. Light of the world, moving closer and closer to the world on day number 4. Let's read our story. All right, Tears in the Desert, the story of Hagar from Genesis chapter 16, 1 to 13, and 21, 8 to 20. Do you remember yesterday's story? We talked about a man named Abraham and the big promise God made to him. God's big promise was that one of Abraham's great-great-great-grandchildren would be a child who would bring God back to earth. God kept his promise, all right. He gave Abraham and Sarah a son named Isaac. But Abraham and Sarah didn't always keep their promises, and sometimes they sinned in ways that hurt other people. One of those people was Hagar. Hagar lived with Abraham and Sarah, but she wasn't treated very well at all. She did everything Abraham and Sarah told her to do, but it never seemed like enough. Why? Well, Sarah was jealous of Hagar, and I'm sure you know that you can't be jealous of someone and loving to someone at the same time. One time, Sarah was so mean to Hagar that Hagar ran away out into the desert. And it looked like Hagar was going to die all alone out there because there wasn't any water in the desert. But God saw right where she was. God heard her when she was crying, and God came to her and gave her some water. Not only that, God promised to give her a son too. Hagar was surprised that God looked out for her, so surprised that she gave God a special name that means God sees me. I wish I could tell you things were better after that. But when Hagar went back to Abraham and Sarah, they weren't any nicer. So Hagar had to leave again, this time with her son. And just like the last time, they were wandering around in the desert with no water. And just like last time, it looked like Hagar and her son were about to die. But just like last time, Hagar began to cry and cry. But just like last time, soon, Betty, I'll be up in a minute. Just like last time, who saw her? God saw her. And just like last time, God heard her. And just like last time, God gave Hagar and her son water. You see, God was with Hagar, even when Sarah was mean to her, even when she felt alone in the desert, even when she thought she would die from thirst. God was with Hagar. God was with Hagar's son too. He would grow up to be a great warrior, an expert with a bow and arrow, and years later he would have kids of his own, and they would have kids of their own, until Hagar became a great nation. But even while Hagar's nation became great, they kept on wandering around in the desert. And as they wandered in the desert, They wished they could find a true home, one where no one would be mean to them and they would never get thirsty. A place where all the wrongs were made right and all the dark was made light. God would provide a home like that, but it would be a very, very long time until he did. All right, and our poem, way out in the desert, God seemed far away, so Hagar began to hope and to pray. God, will you come back to stay? More tomorrow. See you all then.